What is going on today, guys? AU here, and today we're going to be going over something that I have been kind of like upset with the past like 2 weeks. So basically you see the post that's pulled up on my screen here. Basically there is a thing going around that has canceled a lot of events for a lot of communities. A lot like schools have been canceled, everything, and Pokemon a couple of weeks ago put out statements saying that their circuit was canceled through, I think it was like the end of May, and then they came out with this statement saying that the Pokemon 2020 series is it's canceled. The Worlds is canceled. Everything's canceled. This is nothing new. I'm sure anybody watching this is already knows that this is a thing. But kind of in this video, I want to go through how this is actually affecting me and maybe even some of you guys watching this a little bit more than what I thought it was going to. I'm not gonna lie. Whenever I heard that all these events were canceled, I wasn't too upset about it. Like, it sucks for the people that were going to these events. It sucks for the people that were trying to make it to Worlds. Me personally, I was not going to try to make it to Worlds this year. I was actually more thinking so of 2021 as my Worlds run. But I was just kind of playing VGC for fun this year, and so to me, I didn't really think that it was going to affect me that much. I didn't think that this virus and everything that was being canceled was going to be that big of a deal. I was just going to keep playing the game, and I was going to keep having fun. But there might be a lot of you in the same seat that I'm in, and if you've been around the channel, you can see that my VGC content has not been as prevalent on the channel anymore, and that's because I am at the biggest team building block that I think I've ever been at, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. But basically what happens with Pokemon is these big tournaments are what changes and shifts and defines the meta for what it's going to be. We had one Series 3 major. That was it. Everything else that is the meta is what's floating around on the ladder, what people are getting top 1 on ladder with, what people are using on Showdown, what people were using at locals before the locals got canceled, what people have been using on online tournaments like Rose Tower, Victory Road, Silver, I think it's Mount Silver, VGC. So like those were the things that were defining our meta so far for Series 3, because we only had that one major, and Hard Trick Room won it with G-Max Hatterene. That was like the only difference in Series 3 that it made, like that tournament really made. And that was the team that kind of inspired the team that I used. If you've seen the team on the channel, I went 6-3 in the Victory Road tournament. It was like a 400-person tournament, and I went 6-3 with G-Max Hatterene, and it was a great team. But since that team, which was about 2 weeks ago, I haven't had another team that I like playing, and I've been wondering, why does the VGC meta feel so stale right now? And I think it's because we aren't having those big tournaments like we were. So that's kind of where I am right now as far as team building and stuff like that. Like, to me, the meta right now just feels like Airstream, Dragapult, T-Tar, Lapras, and Trick Room. Like, I feel like that's all I see. You see Incineroar, you see Excadrill, you see Durant, you see Gothitelle, like Melodic. I mean, it's just the same Pokemon that I feel like I've been seeing for the past 2 months. You see Togekiss, and it's like, yeah, the Pokemon are good and all, and I know that most games come to a halt in the meta, but I feel like the only reason that Pokemon is at a halt right now in its meta is because we haven't had those tournaments to shift the meta. Like, it's crazy to me how you look at teams before Dallas, right? You look at teams before Dallas, and it was a lot of Duraludon. It was a lot of Togekiss, it was a lot of Whimsicott, and then Dallas comes and we get hit with a G-Max Charizard. That was something you didn't really see before Dallas. We get hit with a G-Max Charizard, people start using G-Max Charizard. So then after that, you see sand teams rise up. You see a lot of the Charizard counters. You see Trick Room rise up a little bit more because Rhyperior usage wants to go up because there's Charizard everywhere. So it's like the meta shifts and shifts and shifts, and teams counter teams, and then that becomes meta. And you see Conkelder, because Conkelder wasn't a thing, wasn't like super prevalent before Dallas, and then once Sand hit very hard, Conkelder came up, and it's like a meta staple Pokemon now. Like almost every team has a Conkelder on it, and it's just like that's how the meta develops. And without these big tournaments, we're not seeing, at least publicly, we're not seeing the teams that are countering meta right now. Like people say anti-meta. The thing is, with anti-meta, it eventually becomes meta, right? Because the things that are anti-meta are countering the meta, so then the people who are getting countered start trying to counter those things, so then those things start becoming meta, and then it goes on and on and on and on. And we were having a good, healthy cycle of all those things with all the tournaments that were going on, but now we've come to a standstill with how those cycles are going. And I mean, I've seen it, some of you may have seen it or may be feeling it. A lot of the people I talk to kind of agree with me whenever I say that VGC right now just feels really, really still, and it feels like everything's at a standstill because of the fact that the tournaments are getting canceled. But a lot of people have tried to step up, and they've tried to change that, and that's a little bit of what I want to talk about in the second part of this video. As you know, the Champions Cup was held this past weekend. So it was a 1,504 person tournament. I did sign up, however, I didn't end up playing in it because, like I said, there wasn't a team I liked using. I didn't want to play if I wasn't gonna have fun, so I just ended up not playing. But I was really excited for this tournament because even though I didn't play, I was excited that the tournament was being held, because I thought that with there being 1,500 people in a tournament, they had to split it up into 4 different pools. Each pool had a top 8, and all the top 8 went to top 32, and that was top cut. Top 32 was top cut. And I was like, in a 1,500 person tournament, there's got to be something that is going to be meta shaping in this tournament. Like there's got to be something that is gonna come in, it's gonna catch us all by surprise, and that's gonna be the new thing. It's gonna be the new G-Max Charizard. It's gonna be the new G-Max Hatterene. It's gonna be the new Gengar Bisharp. You know, it's gonna be the new thing that everybody's wanting to use, and I am really bummed out because it didn't happen. Like I have the top 4 teams right here, and you have Mimikyu, Arcanine, Lapras, T-Tar, Conkeldurr, Dusclops. Every single one of those Pokemon I've seen on at least almost, if I run into a team, it's gonna have probably 2, maybe 3 of those Pokemon on the same team. Edu was using Dragapult, Incineroar, Rotom Wash, Togekiss, Excadrill, Venusaur. His team is full of meta Pokemon. The one thing that stands out to me is he had a lone standing Venusaur, like he didn't have Sun on his team with it, and I thought it was interesting, but I didn't really watch a lot of his matches. I'm not sure. Some people I've seen running like Max Flare, Fire Blast on Dragapult. I don't know if he was doing that or not. I don't think he was, but if he was, then that's another way he could set up the Sun. But like I said, the lone standing Venusaur kind of stands out a little bit, but it fit a niche on his team. And Venusaur is a Pokemon I've seen over and over and over. He was just using it kind of in a different way. Now, Dimitri's team, to me, is the most anti-meta that you'll see on this list. They have Milotic, Incineroar, Togekiss, Excadrill, Whimsicott, all things we've seen before. And then Dracozolt we've seen on the Sage and Park team, but that was like way back in Wolf's Champion Invitational or whatever it was called, on Sage and Park's team. And he paired it beside Whimsicott. He also had Duraludon. I think he had Jellicent, Conkeldurr, and something else. But that was kind of the one that stood out to me, because Dracozolt, if you don't know, is like one of the only things that can OHKO G-Max Lapras. It has to be Life Orb, Bolt Beak, Double Power, Hustle, but it can OHKO G-Max Lapras. And I had tested out Dracozolt a lot in the past. It's just, to me, it seemed like a more unreliable Durant. It wasn't fast enough, but apparently Dimitri has found that niche that it needs to have, and it may make me want to look a little bit more into Dracozolt again. But like I said, that's like the most surprising thing for me to see in top 4 1500 person tournament. I'm surprised that Dracozolt was able to be as consistent as it was. I don't know how many games Dimitri brought it to. I don't know how many games it performed like it should have in. I don't know how many games it just flat out didn't do anything because it missed moves and Dimitri had to play around it. But it's probably a team that it takes a lot of practice with, and you have to get used to missing those moves. But all in all, it's still something that we've seen before. You know, it's still something that when you see it, you know what it's going to do. It's going to have Hustle, it's going to have Max Lightning, it's going to have Max Quake, Max Dragon, and either Protect or Max Airstream, right? It's something that you expect whenever you see it. And then you have Pokealex here with the Dragapult, Incineroar, Durant, Colossal, Gastrodon, and Venusaur. Again, another lone standing Venusaur without Sun. Maybe that is something that people could look into, but it's got the Surf Dragapult, Storm Dragon, Gastrodon, two things we've seen before with the Colossal, and to me, Colossal is a strong Pokemon, but it's still overdone. I've seen a lot of Colossal. So with these top 4 teams, nothing really has struck me as I wanna build around this Pokemon that they showcased, right? Nothing has I don't see anything that I haven't tried to build around before, I think is what I'm trying to say. So then I'm like, okay, we can look at the top 32, and that should be this way. Yeah, so he's got the top 32 here. They don't have a graphic yet, but that's fine. So in top 32, 50% Togekiss, almost 50% Dusclops, almost 50% Incineroar, 14 Dragapults, which is insane. And like season 2, I think Dragapult's usage had dropped down to like 12%. And Dragapult is skyrocketing. Max Airstream Dragapult is everywhere. 14 Dragapults, 12 Conkeldurs, like I said, because Sand is so prevalent right now. T-Tar is everywhere. Surprisingly, 9 Arcanines. I didn't expect to see that many Arcanines, but we did. 9 Tyrannotars, Excadrills, 7 Venusaurs, another Pokemon you see a lot of. Ferrothorn was 6 Ferrothorn was something that is a little surprising to see, but Ferrothorn was around in season 1, and I guess now it's kind of coming back. It can stall out the Sand teams, same as like Corviknight. I'm actually more surprised I don't see more Corviknight in this top 32. And you have Milotic, Lapras, and Gastrodon. Surprisingly, only 6 Milotic, and I mean only 6 Lapras, and I think every one of them made top 8, which is crazy, or maybe 7. I don't know. I think all the Lapras made top 8, but and then on the only once, that's the Pokemon you look at, right? That's the Pokemon you look at to see what were the interesting picks that people used, and you see Serena, something we've seen before. Gardevoir, not something we've seen before. I am a little curious on what this Gardevoir's role was, but I'm assuming I don't know what the team is that it's on. We'll have to go through some more of those. I remember seeing it. I think it was in this column. It was in one of these columns. We'll see it later on whenever we go through. But I'm curious on what Gardevoir did, maybe in Prison Trick Room. And then you see Hatterene, which I'm surprised we only saw once, but it's a hard triggering Pokemon. You see it everywhere. Gigalith, which isn't that prevalent. It's just basically, to me, it's a T-Tar that works well under Trick Room, and it doesn't have a 4x weakness to fighting. Dracozolt, we've already talked about. Ninetales fits on the Sun teams. Grimmsnarl, the reason you saw only one Grimmsnarl is because Lapras is everywhere, and it seems like people are using Lapras as their screen setters. And then Aegislash, which was crazy because the Triple Ghost team was not very prevalent, but it was still, the remnants of the Triple Ghost team were still in the tournament. So, I mean, you look at the different flights. These are top, like I said, these are top 32, all top 32. So you have Gastrodon, Arcanine, T-Tar, Durant, Togekiss, Dusclops. Nothing super special about that team. I mean, it's a very good team, I'm sure. It's just nothing really stuck out to me as I was looking through it. Gastrodon, Arcanine, T-Tar, Corviknight, Rotomo, Grimmsnarl, Dusclops, Conkeldurr, Togekiss, Raichu, and Incineroar, Lapras. So we see the one Lapras paired with the Raichu. That's a pretty common thing. And here's the Gardevoir: Dragapult, Incineroar, Gardevoir, Lapras, Ferrothorn, Dusclops. I'm assuming that this Gardevoir probably set Trick Room somehow. It was probably a different Trick Room setter. Maybe, I don't know if it was Trace or not. Trace is a pretty cool ability. Like I said, it probably fit a niche that team needed, and I think that's where you have to get creative nowadays. I'm not gonna go through all these teams. I'm gonna go through some of the ones that may be a little interesting. You got let's see, Sully here used Dragapult, Ludicolo, Pelipper, Togekiss, Sableye, and Duraludon. So a Rain team, that's actually really interesting to see make top 32 of a huge tournament like this. Rain I have looked at as the worst weather this season. I think that it's even worse than Hail teams. I used a lot of Hail teams, and I really do think that Rain is worse. Rain doesn't have a lot of good abusers this season. A lot of the Pokemon that were the best Rain abusers aren't in the game yet, so Rain is just taking a big hit, and apparently Ludicolo has been able to get to the top of this tournament. And it's weird, I'm assuming that Dragapult has to be physical because the rest of his team is just so especially offensive, so I'm assuming that Dragapult was a physical Dragapult. We'll probably get more information on these teams after I make this video. I'm just kind of talking about my thoughts about how the meta is going right now. And then let's see if there's anything else that's really, like, look at this, Dragapult, 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 Dragapult. It's insane. Anything else that kind of stuck out to me as I was looking through this? Hamster Mania usually always has some really cool teams, and he was using he's actually using kind of hyper offense slash, it was like semi Trick Room. I wouldn't call this soft Trick Room. I don't think it's soft Trick Room because the Pokemon here don't, like Togekiss and Rotom can kind of work in Trick Room, but really you have your offense with Durant and Togekiss, your bulk with Rotom and Dusclops, and then your Trick Room with Conkeldurr, Rhyperior, and Dusclops. So it's like a good, I guess it was a good mix. He had different options that he could go into with the teams. And then you see the one Aegislash down here at the bottom with the Triple Ghost, Dragapult, Incineroar, Aegislash, Togekiss, Conkeldurr, Mimikyu. And so it's like, I know I'm rambling on, but it's like I'm really in a place right now to where I'm ready for more of these tournaments to happen, and I'm ready for some people to get creative again, because that's really what drives me to be creative whenever I'm building my teams. I've built a ton of teams. You can see most of them on my channel. A lot of them probably have not been on my channel. I've probably just made a lot of teams in my off time and played with them. But yeah, I'm just kind of ready for our next big meta shift, and I don't want it to be in June. Like, I don't want the DLC to be the thing that forces the meta to shift. I want it to shift naturally as it should, and I hope that the people who run these tournaments keep running them. I hope people keep signing up for them. Me personally, I don't know yet, because like I said, it's just not that much fun to me right now. I was a big fan of Season 2. I was a big fan of early Season 3, but right now it just seems like we're at a standstill, and it seems like I've seen these things over and over and over, and I'm not a huge fan of it. So yeah, that's kind of where I am. And like I said, a lot of you might be there too. And if you have any ideas, if you have something that you think has been working out pretty decently, definitely let me know in the comment section. At this point, I'm taking any suggestions I can get. I know that the person that just won, I think it was Victory Road, they won it with a Gourgeist and a Sneasel. Two things we've seen before, but like, we haven't seen them enough for me to say, oh, we've seen it before, you know. Like, it's actually some pretty interesting picks. I am going to be taking a look at that team pretty soon. But yeah, that's kind of my analysis on the meta right now. We're kind of at a standstill, and that's basically how I feel. That I feel like that's how most people feel right now. I know that once the meta gets defined, it usually stands still like it is right now. But like I said, I feel like this season was supposed to be built around the shifting meta, and it's just not happening anymore. And that's partly because we're not having those tournaments that need to make it happen. So I'm glad that a lot of the people, I'm glad that A-Drive and Wolfie are doing their huge tournaments. I hope if they don't do it weekly, I hope it's at least bi-weekly. I don't know how they're planning on doing it. I think the last thing I heard was weekly, but I'm not sure. Victory Road and Rose Tower, two great resources if you're looking for online tournaments to play. And like I said, Mount Silver VGC, another great resource to go to if you're looking for a online tournament to play. and I'll have all those links in the description to their Twitters, so you can keep an eye out on that. But with that, guys, that's probably where I'm going to leave you. So if you like what you saw, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya.